I want to talk to you about the latest in the saga of the liberal carbon tax con. More desperate lies, empty promises, and political desperation. The liberals are at it again, folks. Just when you thought they couldn't sink any lower, they've decided, at the 11th hour, mind you, to suddenly backpedal on their beloved carbon tax. Yes, the very same carbon tax they've been cramming down our throats for years. But now, with an election looming and their poll numbers circling the drain, they want us to believe they've had a change of heart. Do they honestly think we're that gullible? Apparently they do. Environment Minister, convicted felon Steven Guilbeault, oozing all the sincerity of a used car salesman, now admits that the carbon tax is, and I quote, very unpopular. No kidding, Sherlock. If he took this long to figure it out, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, after years of crushing Canadians with skyrocketing fuel costs, runaway inflation, and an affordability crisis you helped create, but now that Pierre Poilievre's relentless Axe the Tax campaign is gaining traction, the Liberals are suddenly scrambling to hit reverse, hoping we won't notice the skid marks. Guilbeault, the eco-zealot, who's made a career out of gleefully waging war on Canada's energy sector, expects us to believe this was all part of some grand strategy. Our plan is not based on one single measure, he proclaims, with the same empty conviction that's become his trademark. But let's call it what it is. A desperate, pathetic attempt to cling to power before the whole charade collapses. The only reason the Liberals are even pretending to revisit the consumer carbon tax, or rebranding it, as Mark Carney so coyly put it, is because they're hemorrhaging support faster than Trudeau can say climate crisis. Clearly, Canadians are fed up, beyond fed up. And no amount of spin from Guilbeault, Freeland, or Carney will erase the damage they've inflicted. Even their own bureaucrats admit this disastrous policy will carve up to $30 billion out of Canada's GDP annually. $30 billion when fully implemented. But here's the kicker. When asked what went wrong with the carbon tax, Guilbeault, with a straight face, blamed Pierre Poilievre. That's right, folks. According to him, it's not their ruinous policies that are the problem. No, it's Poilievre's fault for daring to tell Canadians the truth. In Guilbeault's world, honesty is the real crime. And then there's Chrystia Freeland, the ever-calculating political chameleon, who now wants us to believe she's seen the light. Freeland, who once treated the carbon tax as the holy grail of liberal climate policy, is now making noises about scrapping it. But please, don't be fooled. This isn't a change of heart, it's a change of strategy. Freeland's talk of collaborating with provinces and territories is just bureaucratic code for more taxes, more regulations, and, you guessed it, more economic misery. Let's not forget the Liberals' latest golden boy, Mark Carney. This elitist, Davos-loving central banker is already testing the waters for a leadership run. Well, in fact, he filed his papers today. Officially, he's in, one day ahead of the deadline. He's trying to sell us his own brand of green tyranny. Carney smugly assures us that if the carbon tax goes, something more effective will take its place. Oh, joy. We all know what that means. More control, more intervention, and more of the same disastrous policies that have been gutting the middle class. Even Trudeau himself is hedging his bets, suggesting the next Liberal leader will have the freedom to chart their own course. Isn't that convenient? After years of gaslighting Canadians with a doomsday climate rhetoric, now he's happy to let his successors throw the carbon tax under the bus. I mean, the hypocrisy is staggering. As Groucho Marx once quipped, "These are my principles, and if you don't like them, well, I have others." That might as well be the Liberal Party's official motto. But let's not pretend for a second that this is about affordability or the environment or anything remotely noble. This is pure, unadulterated panic. The Liberals see their poll numbers collapsing, and they're hoping this last-minute flip-flop will make them seem reasonable, pragmatic, even relatable. Please, don't buy it. For the love of God, don't buy it. This is the same government that smeared anyone who dared question the carbon tax as climate deniers. The same government that demonized truckers and farmers for pushing back against their crippling policies. And now, with their backs against the wall, they want us to believe they're listening. Spare me. Meanwhile, in the real world, Canadians are struggling, facing rising fuel costs, heating bills through the roof, grocery bills that increase by the week. And while you're figuring out how to make ends meet, the Liberals have been perched in their ivory towers, squirreled away in the luxurious confines of Montebello, lecturing you about saving the planet while they jet off to lavish climate conferences. And just look south of the border. Donald Trump is already rolling back Biden's radical, suicidal climate agenda, unleashing American energy, putting his country first. Meanwhile, the Liberals are clinging to their green pipe dreams, desperately slapping a new coat of paint on their crumbling agenda. What's next? You can bet they'll keep floating half-baked ideas in the coming months, testing the waters to see how much they can get away with. But make no mistake, if they win the next election, the carbon tax, or something even worse, will be back with a vengeance. Pierre Poilievre has been right all along. The carbon tax isn't about reducing emissions, it's about control. It's about squeezing more money out of hardworking Canadians while virtue signaling to the global elite. And Canadians, again, have had enough. It's time to send a message. No amount of last-minute backpedaling is going to save the Liberals from the reckoning they so richly deserve. The carbon tax needs to be axed, not rebranded, not replaced, axed, period. And the Liberal Party, along with its disastrous policies, belongs where it has always belonged, in the dustbin of history. Hey, this is Richard Syrett. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe.